Hello everyone, my name is David. I'm joining you guys from Melbourne, Australia. Actually, 8 in the morning over here, and we're just getting started on the summer. So we're just talking about that with Dr. Murat, that anything you think in terms of whether there's a 6 month difference between the northern and southern hemisphere. So January is the hottest month, and July is the coldest. So it took me a while to get used to that, but it is what it is. So Dr. Murat mentioned maybe it's a good idea for me to briefly talk about data science opportunities here in Australia. Now Australia, I've been here for close to 8 years now. It's a lovely country. Prior to that, I was in Istanbul for a while, and then before that, I was in Baltimore, Maryland area for close to 10 years. I did my PhD at Hopkins. So in terms of the job opportunities, there's actually quite a few, and it's a great place to live and raise a family. That's what I was mentioning to Dr. Murat, that it's a beautiful country. It's a lovely place to be, and some good job opportunities with good remuneration as well. So there's the usual spectrum of data science jobs, data analysts, data scientists, senior or lead data scientist opportunities are quite a few, and more recently, perhaps even more opportunities in the data engineering space. And they do have work visas and permanent residency visas for the appropriate candidates. I'd be happy to, discuss if you have any interest in any job opportunities here in Australia, just for as a general feedback, and any questions that I might be able to answer for you. So thanks again for joining me today. Now, what I'm going to be talking about today is assessing data science, and specifically how to automate and make grading more efficient in the age of generative AI. And if you've done any teaching in data science, whether as a lecturer, instructor, or as a teaching assistant, um, grading assessments in a productive and efficient manner, in a time efficient manner, is actually a big concern, especially when you have large cohorts. So how can we harness the power of Gen AI for this particular purpose? So let me. Uh, so here's the agenda for my talk today. So I'll briefly talk about assessment grading in general, and the overall challenges, and then I'll discuss how AI and automation might come to rescue for this goal. And I will mention, the need for an end-to-end solution rather than, tackling the bits and pieces of the problem. And also some nice to have features of a assessment grading platform. And then I will introduce SM Grader. So SM here stands for SMART. So the smart way to grade, and I'd say it's a startup based here in Australia. It's a relatively young company, but we've made great progress recently with Canvas and Moodle integration, as well as support for paper-based assessments. And then I will do two short demos, one showing how you can actually auto-grade a quiz, and also how to auto-grade a comprehensive data science course project using the marking criteria and rubrics. So I'll be monitoring the webinar chat over here. So if you have any questions, please put them over there, and I'll do my best to answer them. So my background is in maths and stats. I've been in and out of academia, almost spent half time in academia in research and teaching, and half in industry. So I have a good understanding of, what the requirements are in both academia and the industry. And I'm a co-founder of SM Grader. So if you were to ask any academic, what is their biggest challenge? It would be creating, because it takes most of the time. That's not research related, and it's in my experience where most contention happens. Where student dissatisfaction happens is not usually in course delivery, but mostly in assessments. Having unhappy students and how to handle them, becomes a big challenge. And in most places, student satisfaction is a huge uh, contributor to overall performance when it comes to promotions. So how do we ensure fair and consistent grading in assessments while providing rich and timely feedback to large cohorts? So that's a challenge, and I don't think anybody will contest that claim that it's one of the biggest challenges in the academia. Now, on top of that, the rising demand for quality AI and data science education. This increases the burden on educators. It's not only the volume, but there is also an increased expectation in the quality of grading, especially the quality of the feedbacks. So anytime a student loses points, they want to know why. Why did I lose 2 points? Why did I not get full score from this criteria? Rightfully so, because as educators, it's kind of our job to make sure that students are not kept in the dark, and then we're 100% transparent on the marking process, and also a fairness that we need to be fair across all the students and all the assessments. But that increases the burden on the educators, and it's not just a specific type of assessment we're talking about. In a typical data science course, you might have, say, weekly or bi-weekly quizzes, mid-semester tests, and then comprehensive course project reports, maybe multiple course project reports that need to be graded and provided feedback for the students. So we're in a good age in terms of AI. So Gen AI has proven valuable in creating assessments, rubrics, and grading, which is great. But the limitation here is the lack of integration with learning management systems such as Canvas, Moodle, or Blackboard. So that brings me to the challenge here. How much of the grading process can be automated? Now, we know for a fact that depending on the assessment, if it's a true-false question, of course, it can be automated. But how about a 15-page course project report? Can you automate the marking of a 15-page comprehensive course project report? How about a 35-page essay? So how much of it can be automated? Now we can actually discuss even automation of grading of such assessments thanks to Gen AI. So some we can automate some of them through rules, like rule-based automation for questions, like calculate the variance of these five numbers, or write a program that will take the square root of a given number, which is a programming type question. We can automate through rules, and we can say, if the answer is 40.5, then give full score and write the feedback. Great job. This is the correct answer. If not, check for the second criteria. So maybe instead of the variance, the student actually reported sample standard deviation. So in that case, you might actually give, instead of the full score, you might give half score and say, well, sorry, you reported standard deviation instead of the variance, so we're just giving you half the credit. So some of that could be automated based on rules. Now, for essay type questions, such as course project reports and like, please explain, for instance, why logistic regression is a better choice compared to linear regression for a binary prediction problem. Why is that? So perhaps write a paragraph of explanation. Now, for that kind of assessment questions, what we can do is we can actually supply the Gen AI of your choice. Could be ChatGPT, Llama, or Google Gemini, what have you. Just give the grading criteria and rubrics and also the student submission. Now, the Gen AI recommends a score, and you can have it write some feedback. But of course, you have to be very careful with the prompts because it's extremely sensitive to the prompts, as you know. And on top of that, so the teacher, revises the results and finalizes them before publishing. So that is the solution to the challenge: rule-based automation and Gen AI assisted grading. But the trick here is that these assessments, they don't live in a vacuum. It has so many moving parts. If you think of a quiz, for instance, there are many challenges in terms of an end-to-end solution to that. And each one of these parts needs to be optimized for speed and efficiency. Now, first off, LMS integration is a must. As educators or teaching assistants, we need to be able to just get these student submissions from LMS. Nobody wants to copy and paste 300 essays from LMS. That's a given. So retrieve these student submissions from LMS, grade them via a mix of AI automation and perhaps some manual grading, and also the ability to override results. And then I would like to be able to produce rich feedback files, which I'll show you in a little bit. So create these feedback files and then push them back to LMS so that when I release them, the students can actually see them and see what they did right, what they did wrong. Now, some requirements within the setting is that in a lot of cases, especially in data science, student response is actually some computer code, whether it's some Python function or an R script. So I would like to be able to run that code on my platform so that I can apply some marking criteria on them. Like, if the answer is 40.1, do this. If it's 30.5, then do that. But the code needs to be executed. Perhaps some unit tests need to be run. So when I say write a program to find the square root of a given number, I would like to be able to say, okay, if the input is 100, the output should be 10. And maybe as a edge case, if the input is 1, the output should also be 1. So I would like to be able to try some unit tests. We would also need support for multimodal assessments, such as multiple question types, essentially MCQ, like multiple choice questions, numerical questions, programming, maybe an image upload question, and text-based questions, whether it's short answer or essay type questions, and the ability to grade manually. So maybe I have 10 questions, I want to automate 9 of them, but the 10th one, I want to grade it 100% manual. So how do I do that? And also, how do I override any AI results on a case-by-case basis? And finally, I'd like to be able to provide my students rich, detailed, customized, and timely feedback. So those are some of the requirements in an end-to-end solution. Now, some other nice to haves, again, based on my 10 plus years of teaching experience, some of the nice to have features that we've thought of, that ideally we don't want the students to leave their LMS. So if I'm using Moodle or Canvas, I don't ideally want the students to go to a totally unfamiliar platform and take the assessment there, because it's an unfamiliar system, and given the stress of a timed assessment, it's ideal that they actually take the assessment within their own LMS, which they're already familiar with. Now, one other big nice to have is the ability to grade assessments question by question basis, in addition to student by student. So it's actually a huge time saver if you think about that, because in your mind, you're not switching back and forth from different question types, and the ability to perform some similarity checks to check for any plagiarism would be nice. And in a realistic marking setting, we would like to have different roles. So we'd like to have a role where there's a teacher and the teacher is able to assign TAs, teaching assistants, and ideally there should be a head TA role, which has, the ability to publish results, but regular TAs should not be able to publish results back to students. So support for three different roles, teacher, head TA, and regular TA. And in case of large cohorts, imagine you have, six different graders, but who graded what? Is the grading complete yet? Especially for large cohorts. And we did actually try SM Grader for a course with 600 plus students, and it worked beautifully. Um, so the ability to monitor grading progress in real time and pull reports on what percent of the marking is complete, which question was marked by which TA. We would like to be able to see these in real time. And something especially relevant for data science courses is support for Jupyter notebooks. What if I want to give my assessment as a Jupyter notebook file? And in case of assignments, we would like the ability to have the students submit either a Word file or a PDF file for additional flexibility. Now, one other feature that we've added recently is support for paper-based submissions. So those are, physical submissions that the teacher actually scans them, and then once uploaded to our platform, we're able to perform OCR on them, optical character recognition, and then the rest of the process is the same. So in addition to digital assessments, ideally we would want support for paper-based assessments, and also comprehensive reporting to identify any common issues are all nice to haves. So now this actually leads us to SM Grader, the smart way to grade. So it's really a result of our own frustration with existing LMSs and auto grading tools out there. Either they were, not up to the task, or they were just ridiculously expensive. So the specific challenge that I've had personally was the grading of introductory statistics and machine learning courses with the second largest university here in Australia with close to 100,000 students. And I would regularly have cohorts with 300 plus students. So that makes it quite challenging in terms of coordinating marking with, so here in Australia, we say marking as opposed to grading. But when I say marking, I actually mean grading. So grading slash marking of large cohorts with multiple different types of assessments like quizzes with MCQs, programming questions, and comprehensive course project reports. So our solution to that is the SM Grader. So we've been working on this course almost 4 years now. And we call this an assessment management platform as opposed to just assessment grading, because management is a bit more comprehensive in the sense that I can actually see all the feedback that I've created for my previous courses. I can pull the data and submissions from LMS. I can post them back. So it's and also manage multiple graders. So it's more than just auto marking or auto grading, and hence we call it a management and assessment management platform. So the idea with the SM Grader was to address all the challenges that I mentioned and the nice to haves mentioned above. And so far, it has been successfully trialed with more than 2,000 students with great success, with some awesome feedback from the students and the users. Now it integrates natively with Canvas and Moodle LMS systems. And currently we're expanding to high schools due to an overwhelming demand on paper-based assessments. So we recently did a pilot for a high school psychology class where the teacher actually had to grade student submissions ranging from 10 to 15 pages. And that had like 15 different marking criteria with 4 or 5 different rating levels for each one of them. And the feedback we got was that, it reduced the marking time by more than half. And imagine, that teacher, she was allocated maybe like a week, and then she was able to complete that in a day or two. So at SM Grader, it's not the final grand solution to everything, because even though we make it more efficient, um, occasionally the AI will have some suboptimal results, so human supervision will be necessary. So it's not that you just hit enter and then everything is done automatically. There's still some human supervision required, but again, it can reduce the time required by more than half. That was the feedback we received from multiple individuals who used our platform. So our goal as SM Grader is really simple, that we want to empower educators to become their best selves, and they're able to use their time more efficiently so that they can spend more time with their students. And our vision is clear, that we want to streamline assessment grading and assist educators across the world to work smarter, not harder. And in the meantime, we're lucky to have received startup grants from AWS, Microsoft, and NVIDIA Inception program. And our motto is smarter, streamlined, and enriched. So how does SM Grader work anyway? So your students complete their assessment on Canvas or Moodle. So we currently have support for both. And based on the demand, we should be able to support other platforms depending on what kind of APIs they have. But the students complete their assessment on their LMS, whether it's a quiz or an assignment, like a course project report. You import them into our platform, and you can also import any grading criteria and rubrics directly from LMS. So we have APIs, and we get whatever information you have on LMS, we import them into SM Grader. Because the whole idea is speed, that we realize that even spending 30 seconds of your time unnecessarily is 30 seconds that has been wasted. So we're conscious of the importance of time for educators. So everything is built around speed and efficiency in our platform. So once you do that, for the Gen AI type of assessments, such as essay type of questions, we give the ability to craft your own Gen AI prompts on how you'd like the assessment to be created. So currently we have support for ChatGPT 4.0, 4.0 Mini, and O1 Preview on our platform. And then you run the automation and also the Gen AI engine, which will give you the score and feedback. And after that, you will have full control over the results. That you can change the scores, you can modify the feedback to your heart's content. And once you're happy with the results, you hit the create feedback button, and it will create a rich and detailed and customized feedback for each student. And then you hit the publish results button, and then all these feedback files will be pushed back to Canvas or Moodle. And then you switch over to your LMS, you release the results, and the students have access to their feedback files. So what I'm going to do next is do a live demo. So I will demo 2 types of assessments. One, a quiz. Now this quiz has really 5 simple questions representing 5 different question types. Multiple choice question, like which one of the following metrics is most affected by class imbalance? Excuse me. A numerical question that we give them 4 numbers, and they will write a Python program to calculate the sample variance. A third question is write a program that will ask a number and return its square root. A fourth question is an image upload. And the fifth one is an essay type question where the student needs to write one paragraph explanation why logistic regression is better than linear regression. So that will be the first. And the second I will demo is a course project report with these metrics that we'll be using GenAI for this one. Now for this quiz, we're going to be using automation for the first, second, and third. Now the fourth one, image, will do manual marking. And for the fifth one, we'll use Gen AI as well. So now before I show you the platform, now have a look at this again, this quiz with 5 questions. I will show you what the output actually looks like. So these 5 questions go in, the student complete their assessments, and then let's make this a bit bigger. So that is a sample feedback file that has been created automatically by our platform, other than the image which needed to be manually marked. So the idea here is that it's extremely transparent that what the student answer is. So the student chose AUC, whereas the correct answer was accuracy for the class imbalance affected metric question. So we show the question. We show the student what his answer was, what the correct answer was, and what the feedback is. So now we're saying, no credit was awarded for this answer. And then we have a general feedback for the entire cohort, regardless of what their answer was. And we're just explaining, why accuracy is the correct choice here that is susceptible to class imbalance. Now, for this question over here, the student actually reported population variance instead of the sample variance, and we actually take the student code here, we run it on our platform, and we apply the marking criteria or the grading criteria, and automatically we say, okay, now this is the population variance instead of the sample. This is your feedback, and out of 4 points, you're getting 2.5 points. And some general feedback for the question as well. Now for the unit test question, like find the square root. Now this student should have returned x to the power 0.5, but he returned just x. So out of the 2 unit tests that I defined, so pass in 100 and get 10, and pass in 1 get 1. So the student actually failed the first unit test. So 100 went in and 100 came out. So it was a failed unit test. And the second one passed. So we are able to give partial credit based on the unit test. So out of 4 points, the student got 1 out of 4. And now here again, transparency that the student can see, okay, this is where I did wrong. Instead of x to the power 0.5, I actually typed in x. Now the image, again, this is manual that, I decided to give 0 because instead of the set intersection question, the student uploaded a set union image. And for the linear versus logistic regression question, the student answer was, well, I'm not sure why, sorry. And that is the feedback that I'm providing, and we're giving 0 out of 12. And in addition to this table that shows, the student response, correct response, and the feedback, for transparency, again, we're providing the unit tests. What were the unit tests? What were the weights? And we're also providing this optional that you can provide a histogram of all the scores in the cohort. This especially helps when you have some delusional students that they think, oh, this exam was so hard and I got low score. But when they see a distribution of the scores that it's actually maybe just a few students who scored really low and the class average was really high, so maybe it was an isolated issue. The histogram helps with those kind of scenarios as well. And again, for full transparency, we also have links to each question. Okay, what was question number one? I forgot. So you click on this. You're directed to the assessment questions down here. Again, those are all extracted automatically from Canvas. That in this feedback file, it's the student can see their overall score, what they did correctly, what unit tests were, a histogram, also the assessment questions, and we can actually do this. So once you have your marking criteria defined correctly, like all the partial scores and whatnot, you can create these feedback files and then push them back to Canvas in no more than 15 to 20 minutes, even for 300 plus students, because our system is on AWS, and then we have a strong scaling architecture, so that we have massive parallelism as part of our tech stack, that you can auto mark or auto grade hundreds of students within a matter of minutes. So that is the output of the marking process. Now, going back to the business or the business analytics course project report. So we do have this marking criteria, which is like report overview. So let me make it a bit bigger. You can see it better. So we have 4 different criteria, like report overview and methodology, model building and fitting. So basically, the students find a data set and they build predictive models on top of them. And then they compare the models and critique them, and summary and conclusions. So those are my criteria and ratings. And the student's submission, say, was this. So a student uploaded this file, a 4-page report that had introduction, methodology, and conclusion. So based on the rubrics, what we've done is that we ran Gen AI, we fine-tuned our prompts, and then we created this feedback file that we can push back to the student's LMS account. That for each one of the marking criterion, we tell the student what the rating was. So the student actually got 1 out of 3, and that's the feedback that we wrote. So you provided a report overview that includes some key points. However, there were some omissions and what the student needs to do to achieve full marks. So we do that for each one of the marking criteria, and these feedback, they're primarily directly from Gen AI, but you can overwrite them if you like, and you can also change the points that the AI recommended. But that is the final output. So this course project report goes in, and based on the rubrics and your Gen AI prompts, this is what comes out of the marking process. And again, this feedback that we received from our users was that this reduces the overall grading process by more than half time-wise. So I've shown you 2 different assessment types that we can handle as assignment grader, a quiz and a course project assignment. So what I'm going to do next is I will show our platform. So you can go to our platform directly from the user login from our website, smcreator.com. So now I'm currently logged in. So here I am. So I can see my courses here. And for each one of the courses, I can see my assessments. So I currently have 2 assessments, and I can add assessments from here. So the list of available assessments will directly come from, so I'm currently using Canvas. So all the assessments that I have on Canvas, I can see them here, and I can import them into Canvas. Now for each one of these courses, I can also manage course markers, like how many teaching assistants I have, what their roles are, and so on and so forth. And for the assessments, let's start with the business analytics course project. So I'm going to make this my current assessment. So here we have general settings like the name of the assessment, import settings, such as, you know, am I looking for a PDF file from the student or a Word file or a Jupyter notebook? I can decide to show whether, the student correct answers, correct answers, what kind of feedback I want to give, a default, and also class level feedback that you can say, okay, great job, everyone. This quiz was handled nicely by everyone, and so on and so forth. And for programming, you can choose R or Python when you're running the student code, and you can make available any modules that's needed, like NumPy, Pandas, and SciPy. Since we're running the student code, we'll need to make available any relevant modules. And you can also upload additional files, like if student actually needs to work with a CSV file, you can upload this CSV file. So when we run student code, that CSV file will be available in that environment, so that the code works correctly. And for the AI setting, so this is a quiz. The AI, you might have some essay type questions. So which model you want, O, 4O, 4O mini, or preview. Um, we already have some prompts in there, but you can give your own prompts of at the assessment level, like limit feedback to 100 words maximum, whatever you like. You can say, okay, I want you to be more generous, or I want you to be like very strict. And the AI will most of the time follow up your instructions. And you can also give some um, assessments context in here for the AI. So that is the settings of the assessment. And in metadata, we have the question details. So here, for each one of the criteria, you can give some comment feedback if you want some correct answer. And at the question level, you can give additional AI instructions. And so for this particular marking criteria, on top of the assessment level prompts, you can give question level prompts. And you can change the temperature of the AI for more creativity. And if you like, you can have the AI to give you only a score and no feedback. That also works. So for the marking criteria or for the ratings, so those are the ratings that I've shown here. All these ratings that I've shown here, they have been automatically imported into SM Critter directly from Canvas. So this is all automatic, that I don't have to do anything additional. It was just imported from Canvas directly. And here in the submissions, this is where the magic happens. So I can have a question by question view, like question one, or which is really marking criteria one here. So I can see I have two students here. This is the feedback that I gave. And then I can move on to question number two. Or I can have a student view that I can see David AG's results all in one place. Now the insights report will, let's try this. We'll give you comprehensive reports of score distributions for each question. Now, marker report is I can see who marked what in this page over here. And similarity is when you want to do some plagiarism check. So you import the submissions from your LMS from this button here. And then as for the actions, you can run automark, create feedback, publish results, and you can also email results if you like. So that is the business analytics course project. And let's actually have a look at the quiz here. So it's the same story here, the same settings, but the marking criteria will be slightly different. So have a look at this. So I'm saying if the answer is 40.49, so if it's close to 40.92, I will give the default feedback. So 4 is the full score. Default feedback is, okay, you've done great. And I've added this, that, if the answer is actually 30.69, I'm giving 2.5 points and I'm writing this feedback. So this is how I configure my marking criteria, and I can copy this, I can delete this, I can change the priority, all this. And submissions is the same. So the same logic that we have the insights report already in here. So you can see the distribution. So here in the admin tab, you can see like the status. So I've created the feedback. So this is what the feedback looks like, as I've shown before. And you can, if you like, you can change your marking criteria, run it again, and then change again, run again, and then override them, and then see what happens. So in this case, for instance, if you have a look at markers report, you will see that, question 4, 2 of them were marked by myself, and the rest were the 1, 2, 3 automark module, and the fifth one was AI assist module. And this is by question view, and this is by marker view. So yeah, once I'm happy with this, we'll just click this button, publish results, and whoever I want to publish results for, I can do that. Now, what I found this platform especially useful for deferred assessments. Say you do a quiz, and a month and a half later, a student comes back and maybe she was sick with a medical certificate. And now you can just import just that student, do auto marking, and then just publish that student's results in a matter of a minute. So that is especially useful for the deferred assessments. So that is really my demo for this. And final slide that I have here is the SM Creator Edition. So we have this digital edition that I showed you, which integrates natively with Canvas and Moodle. We have a paper edition primarily for high schools that, the student has batches of paper or physical student papers, which we use OCR and AI. And here you actually bring your own AI key. So you create your own account with ChatGPT or Google Gemini, whatever you want to do. So that is going to be between yourself and your favorite AI. And then we have this compute add-on. If you need to run any student codes, you would need this compute add-on. And the Gen AI add-on, it's actually included in the base edition, that you can perform AI grading with score and rich feedback for both quizzes and assignments. So that's it. That's the end of my presentation. Thanks everyone for listening, for tuning in, and I would be happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
There is one question Q&A. Do you want to?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me see. I can't actually see them. Webinar chat. Let me click on the chat again. Sorry,
It's not
I
in
can't
the
see.
chat. It's in Q&A, not in chat.
Okay, sorry. Okay, let's Q&A.
So one question is, how does this handle individual research projects where the
Okay,
student
sorry.
will
Okay,
pick
just saw it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Murat. So individual resource projects. Yes. So now the marking, the rubrics or the grading criteria for individual resource projects, if you set them up as you would, such as this one over here. So this assessment here, the business analytics course project, was actually an individual project where each student actually had to come up with their own data set. But when you actually set up your marking criteria and rubrics accordingly, and provide your Gen AI prompts carefully, when you fine tune them, I've seen that it does an amazing job of picking up some interesting patterns. And you can actually make it part of your prompt that you don't want any generic feedback, that you want your feedback to be highly personalized for each one of the submissions. And that's precisely what the Gen AI does. It says, it's great that you've done such and such, that you refer to these algorithms and you've done this, but you didn't get the full score because of blah, blah, blah. To get the full score, you've needed to do those couple of things. So you can program Gen AI to handle individual research projects, and we've had users who've used this kind of approach in highly individualized project submissions, and uh, the feedback that we received was, it did an amazing job. But again, it's not 100% all the time. There's still some manual tweaking required to fine tune the prompts, and even then, occasionally you might have to jump in and change a few things in the feedback. So it would be incorrect if I said, just hit the button and forget. There's a bit of a human element involved in this, that some human supervision will be required. Now, as for your second question, Lakshmi, that if we help with assisting the prompts, so we actually have a secret sauce. We have some built-in prompts that we've fine-tuned over a period of months across a large number of different scenarios. So we've done some magic that, the feedback that you will get right out of the box from SM Grader will be way better than you would get if you just copied and paste stuff in ChatGPT, because we have a very detailed set of prompts and workflow optimized for assessment, grading, and feedback. But occasionally you might have to fine tune the prompts a little bit. Like you might say, okay, your feedback is too long. I want no more than 50 words. Um, and you can do that, and AI will respect your decision. Um, and your other question, how often do you find you have to correct AI results? That's a good one. So if you fine tune your prompts on top of our fine tuned prompts, I would say in my experience, it's no more than 10 to 15%. Again, that depends on your case. But if your prompts are solid, if you're happy with your prompts, so if there's no systematic errors with your prompts, I would say it's no more than 10% that you have to jump in and fix things. But it's still 10%. So 10% is like the base error in machine learning, that it's hard to go below 10% with the current technology. And I'm referring to O1 Preview, which is the top of the line reasoning engine from OpenAI. So that it's 10% is like the lowest that we can have right now. But who knows, when OpenAI comes out with their next AI engine, that 10% might go down to 5%. Or maybe in a couple of years, it might be 100% AI is accurate. But currently it's not there. And a scroll bar for strictness. Um, Currently we don't, but you can actually make it part of your prompt, and you can say, I want you to be quite generous in your marking. And obviously the students don't see your prompts. Or you can say, I want you to be quite strict. Um, Now I can't say this for other engines, but O1 Preview is really awesome in terms of following your instructions. It's a bit expensive, unfortunately, but it has the best performance that we've seen. That you can directly tell your Gen AI what you want. You can say, um, so it's really up to you how you want to control. So my recommendation would be that you start with say just 5 students. So you run your prompts, you fine tune your prompts on 5 students. Once you're happy, then you can extend it to 10, 15 students, and then fine tune them just a little bit. And once you're happy, then you can run the entire cohort. That would be the workflow that I recommend. Um, so your final question, Lakshmi, do you think the teachers, no, not the final, sorry. Do you think teachers will still have, um, yeah, it depends. Okay, sorry. Some questions disappeared. I want to answer it. Okay, Lakshmi with the MCQ code questions. Yeah, so excellent question. So obviously you'll have one correct answer, like what is the variance? Okay, it's 40.92, right? But then, so what I do is actually I do one vanilla, what I call vanilla run. I just run the auto marking by only the correct answers, and then I'll look at the insights report because the insights report will tell me all the unique answers. So if you actually go to the insights report for the okay, for the variance question, for instance, I can see that um, so one of the students said 40.92 and they got full score, and one student said 30.69 and he got 2.5. Uh, but what will happen is that you will actually see maybe more than a dozen different unique answers. And then you will see somebody, well, 15 of the students said 20.5. How did they come up with this? And then we're giving you the name of the student. So you pull up their paper and see, well, how come you came up with this 20.5? Oh, maybe, the students misunderstood. And then you go back to your marking criteria. And then you add one additional case and say, if the answer is 20.5, then still give 1 point because it was my mistake that I wasn't clear enough. And then you can write whatever feedback you want. And that way, you can actually handle pretty much all the cases. So this insights report is immensely useful for that because it allows you to see, all the unique responses and their distributions, so that you don't really have to guess. Now, other question, did you explore the different LLM agents? Yes, I did. I experimented with Google Gemini, and to be honest, I wasn't very happy with it. Because our prompts are rather long. Our secret sauce, there's quite a bit of reasoning that needs to happen. And my experience, again, I haven't done very comprehensive testing. But O1 preview is by far the best, and it is actually up to the scratch for this particular task. We're getting some really really good results with O1 preview. That there hasn't been an instance that I wish it was a bit better. It's all about the prompt that you craft. So on top of what we've already done, so it will you'll that means you have the flexibility to do whatever you want. So whatever instructions you give to O1 preview, it will follow it. It's that good. So another excellent question from Lakshmi. So thanks for all the nice questions. What are some ideas you have to take this to the next level? Uh, Excellent question. So we've come a long way in the 4 years that we've started working on this. So Gen AI integration is relatively new, and paper-based edition is quite new. It was based on the demand from high school teachers. So integrating with more LMSs like Blackboard or some other big players in the LMS game, that we're working on them. But currently, I think we're in a pretty good place. We haven't had any demand for integration with other LLMs, but we're open to the idea. If there's demand, we can integrate Google Gemini or Llama or Claude as the AI engine, because it's really a plug and play that would just take your prompt, send it to your LLM, get the response, and parse it. So that is the agenda as for improvements, support for more LLMs and support for more LMS systems.
Thank you, Dr. Akman. You extensively explained the questions. So we are actually over time. Really appreciate it. That's a
Thanks so
unique
much.
platform. Yeah, we hope that we've been really thinking about how we can integrate that with Magnimind students. We're solely focused on data science and AI. teaching.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'd be
yeah,
delighted to, to continue the conversation if anybody is interested in
yeah.
trying this out. So, yeah, so you can get in touch with me directly. I'm on LinkedIn. And then we can create a demo account for you for free, and you can play around with the platform and see if you like it.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you
Likewise,
everyone for
thanks for the invitation.
participating. So please send us a message if you want to connect to Dr. Ackman. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, thanks so much. See
Bye.
ya. Bye bye.
Bye.